J.P. Morgan simply went into customers' accounts and took over $1 billion. And this is, I think that we have to understand now that the hope of reforming the banking system in some way is over. You know, that battle is now lost. We lost that battle because there's no investigation. There's no anything going on. MF Global is the beginning of a new era. These bankers can just reach in and take money without even anyone questioning it. So I'm focusing now actually on copyright as in Hollywood and the SOPA and ACTA. And I'm going to focus less on banks and bank criminals because I just think that's over now. We lost. The MF Global signifies the end of any hope of any reform.
It signals divine right of international bankers instead of kings. If they want to take your money and then get caught lying to Congress, they're going to do it. Here's the headline out of the London Telegraph. Nathaniel Rothschild loses high court libel battle. And it says Nathaniel Rothschild, the billionaire financier, has lost a high court libel action over a claim that he was the puppet master behind the deal involving Lord Mandelson and a Russian oligarch. And, of course, it all went to pot when he said that he'd never met with these people, and the photos and videos got released of them all in meetings in Russia.
Yeah, so there you go. So that now can be the so-called conspiracy theory relating to that family is now a conspiracy fact. And again, the Alex Jones is always 6 months ahead of everybody else, or 2 years ahead of everyone else. But so I think that the SOPA and ACTA battles can be won because with people like Anonymous on the web and others. They're really winning battles, with the SOPA battle.
What would you do if you got a letter threatening to sue you from a major publisher saying you can no longer use the word dummies?
Well, Facebook is trying to trademark the word face to give you an idea of how crazy this is getting.
Yeah, in fact, News Corp, didn't they sue Skype because it has the word sky in it? I mean, now it's like pick a word out of another word. I mean, it's just reached cartoon level.
Right. They wanted to trademark fair and balanced. And, of course, Murdoch, not only was he caught spying on people, which is now a huge scandal, but now there's another huge scandal in the Murdoch press about police bribing. So, Rupert Murdoch, who's the mainstream media, not only is he a horrible lawbreaker, but he's a horrible businessman. He sold MySpace. He bought MySpace for $500 million, sold it for $34 million to a group of investors, including some young musicians. Now it's signing up 40,000 people a day. It's becoming a big hit. Again, Rupert Murdoch is a horrible businessman, but that's the kind of people who have incredible power because they use the power of the press, the mainstream media, to influence political outcomes. Tony Blair was beholden to Murdoch. Bill Clinton and the Bushes and Obama's beholden to the mainstream media, and they use copyright as leverage. They use copyright as a weapon. They use it as a way to control people. And I think this is a battle that can be won because the hackers and the pirates and the anonymous group have always proven to be one step ahead. And when they win the battle is when, of course, Wikipedia went dark for a day. And suddenly people understood that there was an opposing force against this copyright legislation, and they immediately backed down.
Yeah, but even the trademark rule doesn't mean that a journalist or someone can't. I mean, if you trademark the word Titanic, I can still write about the Titanic. They're even claiming you can't even say the word. That's like when McDonald's 15 years ago sued the McDonald family of Scotland, who's royal, who owns a castle, because they had a castle farm and a castle pub that for 1,000 years plus had sold beer and cheese. And they said, you can't call it McDonald's Pub.
Yeah, or I just read that Warner Brothers is suing Disney over The Wizard of Oz because the book mentions red slippers and the does not, and the movie does, and they can't make a remake because the book is on copyright and the movie is off, and it just goes back and forth. And they're using copyright, as you point out, to control language in an insidious manner that's creeping into our civil liberties in a way that's just completely unconscionable.
We'll be back, absolutely.
There are limitless ways to go into...
Okay, I want to get back with Max Keiser into this open globalist assault on free speech. You got Twitter, Facebook, Google. Every day I see 3 or 4 articles, I know you're seeing them as well, where they say, oh, we're going to comply with this government or that. If people are saying where speed traps are on Twitter, we're going to block them. If people are criticizing the Indonesian government, we're going to ban them. Yeah, we're going to, Google's going to take down or block videos that the U.S. government says are critical of the government. And now documents have come out that Big Sis is spying on the Drudge Report and others, and to track people that are criticizing the government because that hurts their capability to protect us. We've got to enslave you to protect you. I want to get back into that, Max, but in this short segment, what does it signify? Because this was my concern. If they can now say at MF Global, we're going to go ahead and keep your money. Yes, it's illegal. And yes, we did lie. And the head of the CF, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, comes out and says Corzine lied. He did order the money transferred, obviously. And the mainstream media acts like they don't know where it went, even though Forbes reported where it went months ago. I can hardly talk. There's so many points I want to make. And now they just get away with it. What does that signify, Max?
Well, it signifies a complete abrogation of the rule of law. There's simply no law at all. And look, anyone with a Series 7 broker's license, what I had for many years when I was working on Wall Street, is literally a license to steal. Now, when I was working on Wall Street, the manager would come around and say, break any law you want, we got lawyers. As a matter of fact, unless you had at least one client suing you, you weren't considered to be showing enough initiative, because the entire industry was set up that any complaints went to binding arbitration before a panel of brokers and bankers. You do not go to a jury. But that mentality has gone global, and it's gone into a multi-$100 billion financial services industry that is now literally going into countries like Greece, stealing hundreds of billions of dollars and walking away scot-free. And then getting the local government, who of course works for the banks, to impose austerity measures as a way to pay off this multi-decade of debt that they themselves had nothing to do to incur. The Greek people did not create $500 billion of debt. That debt was passed to them through their governments from foreign banks. The same thing's happening in the U.S., as you know, the same thing happening all over the world. But there's absolutely no recourse. There's no rule. There's no body, no jurisdiction that is making any case against any of these people who are engaged in outright theft. I mean, you have to, I don't want to pull the Nazi card because it's overly done, but you have to really go back to the 1930s and see what was done in Germany to folks. And it was all legal. Of course, this is what you hear all the time, Alex, from the mainstream media. And Obama says the same thing. He says it's all legal. What they did was all legal. Yes, what Hitler did was all legal too, Alex. He passed the laws to make it legal to confiscate wealth and to put people into a ghetto and to cremate them. What's happening in Greece right now is we're heading toward a financial holocaust, and those people are going to end up with the same final solution. And the bankers at Davos will say, well, this is great because this is the deflation we need to offset the inflation of all our money printing. We'll offset our inflation by incinerating a few thousand people or 1 million people. It's the exact same mentality, the exact same playbook. It's happening again, and there's nobody standing up to it. And of course, if in the case of, let's say, and you make this point all the time, in the United States, of course, if it's not the Super Bowl one weekend or the Academy Awards the next weekend, or, mass sobbing over the death of Whitney Houston on any given day, there's no space in the nightly news other than your news where people are talking about the fact that there is a holocaust, a financial holocaust happening in Greece right now. That's not discussed. So that means that the people in the United States who don't talk about this are, by extension, participating in it. But they are ameliorated with the entertainment value and the ultra cheap food and the ultra cheap energy that's still available in the U.S. And so then it's just not talked about. But it's as I said, I think we're in a new era now because there's absolutely no pushback at all against.
And that's my next question when we come back and then get into other news and go to calls, Max Keiser. What's coming next? I mean, if they can get away with anything, sticking their hands down our pants, stealing our bank accounts, lying to Congress, shipping guns to Mexico to blame the Second Amendment, putting toxic poison in the water, what's coming next?
We're on the march.
All I know is that I've done some basic studying of history. And I've studied the corptocracy of kleptocrats that we have running things. And they are definitely clinically ill from a case of megalomaniacal chutzpah, megalomaniacal bravado, megalomaniacal craziness. I mean, look at Corzine, 40-to-1 bet, other people's money, lies before Congress, gets caught lying, and now the entire corporate media structure, the whole system is coming out and saying, we don't know where the money went. And as I pointed out 3 months ago when this all started, it was in Forbes, it was in the Associated Press that most of the money had been wired to London and J.P. Morgan. But then I guess J.P. Morgan said, hey, don't say it came to us, just say it's a mystery where it went. And so now everybody says we don't know where it went, and federal regulators are in the news, the financial news, every week saying, gee, we don't know where it is. Now, if you wire $1,000, there's a record of it. You wire $10,000, there is a criminal investigation opened called a suspicious transactions report. It's a global rules. Homeland Security runs the whole thing worldwide. It's standardized because the globalists want to know where money is going so they can steal it. They only shut down the drug dealers they want to shut down. They only shut down the money launderers they want to shut down. Goldman Sachs, all these people that are involved taking over countries, they're conquered.